The following podcast you're about to listen to is brought to you by the Push Start Media Network, where everything you do in life begins with pushing start. Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Your Enthusiasm podcast. You know me, I am your humble host, Bryce Benjamin, along with my guy, the man of the hour. You know him, you love him, Ed Rueter in the building.
Wow, that was a great intro.
You know, I'm just trying to change it up every episode.
They know me, they love me. I wasn't sure, but I tend to believe you on most things.
I'm assuming they love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
That's great, man. I love you too.
Thank you.
Also, if I was to tell people how great I'm doing today, they'd just be jealous, so I'm not even going to. That's how great I'm feeling today and about today's episode.
Hey, man, never be afraid to share your happiness.
Wow, that was like...
Never be afraid to share your happiness.
Now he's a philosophizer. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. This has started off really great.
That's a classic. That's a classic movie, by the way.
Yeah, we've got several dodgeball references in early, which is fair because this is a sports show. And dodgeball is one of the classic top 30 sports of all time. So
it has that movie has so many quotables, and there's a quotable I want to say that I'm not going to say it, but it has to do with like a doorknob.
Yep.
I'm not saying that one.
Nope. Bring it back. Bring it back to the topic. Bring us back. Lead us here.
All right. So we're talking about the NFL top 100 players voted list that came out recently. There's needless to say, it's been a lot of it's some controversy that's going on with this list, right, Rueter? And we're gonna break it down. We're gonna give our thoughts and opinions on it. But overall, man, kind of looking at this list, when you first initially seen it, and you went through how the players voted, what was your initial thoughts? Like, what was some of your initial thoughts looking up and down the list?
Well, I mean, some of the things just. Whenever you put a list together like this, and we'll get more into it as we go up and down the list here in full, but some of the placement of players, a lot of times, so much of this is subjective because it's players voting.
Right.
So I want to make sure that we're very clear on that this is a players vote. So I take a lot more of this into consideration than I would sports writers voting or some dudes in a room from a website, right? Or like me and you, right? Like these are guys that are out there on the field playing against these players. So I think that makes it a pretty cool list. With that being said, it seems as though a lot of times players tend to lean towards, veteran players that they respect a lot that maybe aren't worthy of the placement that they are on this list.
Yeah.
So I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go on. But all in all, I think for the most part, when you're talking a top 100, you figure there's 32 teams, so approximately like the top 3 players from each team, approximately.
Right.
And I think to that end, they nailed the list pretty well. I thought that was, on the whole, pretty good. I see some of the controversy that's out there, some of the things people are talking about, and we'll definitely get into it. But, when you're doing something like this, you could argue that how they scored it was weird, or some of the players that were selected were weird, but... when you're doing 100 guys, it's not a terrible list.
Yeah. At the same time, I think some of these players was high as shit when voting.
Yeah, I mean, so again,
like high as fuck.
They might have been
gone.
They might have been, and weed's legal in a lot of states now.
No, not weed.
No, something else.
No, you don't make you don't make this list off weed.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
so you're not a fan.
No.
Okay. Well, I'm interested to hear why.
So there's there's certain parts of it that I did enjoy. Obviously, Lamar Jackson being number 1.
I was gonna say, what else are you looking for?
Dope. I fucking love it. But there's other instances all right. So one,
okay.
First of all, offensive linemen. It seems like they don't get credited as much as they should be.
Sure.
All right. So I think it should be more linemen on their period. And then 2, the fact that Carson Wentz was not in the top 100 players for 2020 after he got that fucking Eagles team to a playoff berth with practice squad players.
He's throwing at mannequins out there.
Throwing over 4,000 yards and over, 30 touchdowns? Mm-hmm. You got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
You got to be fucking shitting me, bro.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't.
Chris
again,
Carson is ahead of... Come on, bro.
Chris Carson's good, man.
Buda Baker.
Awesome. What else you got? Just say a name. I'm going to give another superlative.
Josh Allen.
You stumped me, son of a bitch. 100 players. You name the one I don't have anything nice to say about. Oh, no, he's got a strong arm. Cannon, right? And
yeah, monster cannon.
Sick on laterals.
Can just throw it a mile.
Just throw it anywhere.
Just throw it out of the stadium.
Sideways, he'll throw it. It doesn't matter.
Overthrows all day.
Yeah.
All day.
He's overthrowing some of the fastest dudes on the planet. That's tough. He overthrowing.
That's impressive.
The fastest dudes on the planet.
If you had to switch a negative to a positive, that is the way you would do it, bro.
That's the way you do it. He's strong.
Yeah.
Quite strong.
And no disrespect to Josh Allen, but
he's fine.
All right, man. So how we want to do this? You want to kind of start from 100 to 91? You got the list up?
Yeah, I got the list up here. I want to see these parts. So I get that. The Carson Wentz thing is crazy, but
it's ridiculous.
I'm interested to see where else you have such major disagreement.
There's a couple of players that should be on this list.
This is a list that has your quarterback at number 1, right? Which in and of itself was a minor controversy, right? So I'm interested to see where all this hate came from, man. I can't wait to dive into it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this list. This list kind of showed me that, and all due respect to the players, they go against these guys every Sunday. Their insight is definitely should be valued, but at the same time, I think it kind of goes to show that sometimes like players don't. I mean, like it's just not. It's not a good list sometimes.
Well, I think they've got subjective opinions just like anybody else. I think
Very
that
fair.
they might have obviously a better insight than you and I, right? So I respect that a little bit, but ultimately, like I said, the thing that I've seen is it leans towards veterans, and we'll get more into that. But some of the guys, I mean, for me, one of the biggest guys that's really down, Levante David. I mean, he's arguably a top 3, top 5 linebacker in the NFL, all the way down at 100. I think that was very surprising. I thought that would be one of the guys that, just the way he can cover sideline to sideline, he can drop into coverage, he can blitz, he kind of does it all. Starting off the list right at 100. This might be a long episode if we go this way, but starting right at 100, I mean, right there, you could say that's a guy that for me could leap way up the list.
How about the fact that Darren Waller is at 99, and Darren Waller had a great season, and he had a really good season for the Raiders, but fucking Mark Andrews, Pro Bowl tight end for the Baltimore Ravens, who led all tight ends with touchdowns with 10, over 800 yards receiving. He's not on the list. I got a gripe there.
I think maybe that the players are looking at, Mark Andrews was a little bit more a product of the system. They had obviously they've got a great quarterback, great team, great coaching. A 3 tight end system that kind of lends itself to tight ends being successful, right? Whereas with Waller, he was kind of the dude there. He kind of came out of nowhere he elevated himself amongst the other receivers after Amari Cooper was gone. Kind of out of nowhere, Waller came in, and I thought he did a great job. Again, deserving of this list. I mean, if you're going to throw him on there, 99 is a pretty good spot for him. So
I'm not mad that Waller's on the list. I'm mad that Mark Andrews is not. That's my argument.
Well, that's fair. So here's the thing that I'll say about it, though, is that when you start going through this list, you got to think to yourself, okay, if all these guys that I like that should be in there that aren't, right? Mark Andrews, Carson Wentz, Julian Edelman, maybe. It's like, okay, then you got to start looking at who do we throw off the list. And I think that's some interesting ones, too, that we'll look at those, obviously, too, and say, yeah, I don't know about this guy, So got to be thinking about that. So that's already 3 spots real quick. If we're talking, Edelman, if you're talking Wentz, so now we got to throw 3 dudes off the list. It gets tough, man. I get it.
It's not that tough. I can do it right now for you.
Yes.
Take out Darren Waller. Take out Chris Carson.
Oh, yeah. And then what?
That's 2.
Then what, tough guy?
Take out Josh Allen.
Okay.
Yeah, right there. We're good. Replace those 3 with those 3.
Carson, you think is out? Carson's a hell of a player, man. He's really good.
Who, Chris Carson?
Chris Carson, yeah, he's really good. I mean, he might not be Carson Wentz. He might be the lesser of the 2 Carsons, but I mean, that's not bad. They got the wrong
Carson in there.
They got the wrong Carson.
And that's the thing, too. I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting these guys that made the list. Shout out to them. Congratulations.
Sounds that way, though.
But hey, listen, there's just better players that should be on this list.
Okay.
That's all my argument there.
Okay.
But all right, so 191. Like I said, the 2 names that kind of stick out for me was Darren Waller and Chris Carson.
Name that sticks out to me there is Allen Robinson. You think Allen Robinson's still a top 100 receiver? I just like
another one. That's another one you could.
I think you can pull him off of there. I mean, I think there are guys
he's better than Kenny. Yeah, he's better than Kenny Galladay last season.
So I don't know. I don't think he's better than Cortland Sutton either, who I don't think was on the list.
Right. Exactly.
So, Allen Robinson, I think, again, so this is one of those guys. He's a bit more of a veteran. He was out years ago, with Jacksonville. Him and Alan Hearns tore it up there for a season, I want to say back in like 14 or 15 or something like that, back with Jacksonville. And he never quite put it together with Chicago. You could argue quarterback play there. I guess he's still a threat when he's healthy too.
He had a decent season. He had 98 catches, almost 1,200 yards, and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had a rebound season last year for sure. It was like his first really good season since the Jaguars.
Yeah,
but you could see it. But I mean, I don't know. Is he better than some of those other guys? I don't know. It's tight. But I mean, these guys, we're talking the bottom 10 on the list. So there's a lot of guys.
Oh, it's going to get worse.
I believe it. I believe it.
All right. So then next 90 through 81.
Okay.
All right.
Here's another guy I think that's not there yet. Number 90, the lowest quarterback on the list, Kyler Murray.
I was just going there.
I mean, I think there's unlimited potential there. He could be great. We've seen the strides that quarterbacks can make in their second year, but man, I think if anything, the players here are going off of like athleticism and potential here, which I think is kind of weird because most of the list kind of leans towards veterans. But interesting that so many of the players think that Kyler Murray is a top 100 player.
I don't know what's the criteria? Like, what were they thinking when they was doing the vote? How does the points add up for these players is my question as well. Because Kyler Murray, as awesome as I think he's going to be, as he's a really good rookie last year. He had a really good season to be a rookie quarterback in the NFL. Again, he was not better than Carson Wentz. All right. I got a problem with both the quarterbacks right now. Kyler Murray and Josh Allen. They should not be in the top 100. They was not better than, and I'm going to keep saying this, they were not better than Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan had better seasons than they did. Albeit, the Atlanta Falcons was, a 7-9, 8-18.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan still had a very good season statistically.
There's something that's just very vanilla about Matt Ryan that's just unexciting, and I don't know. Because you look at his numbers, though, over like the last 10 years or so, they're really good.
Yeah.
And he's had a lot of success there. But it's just like, I don't know. There's just something every year. There's just something that makes you like not believe in Matt Ryan, right? Like
he's not a playoff performer.
Yeah, and there's just no sizzle there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like bacon that's old and crusty and not fun anymore. It's just it is what it is. It's still okay.
Yeah.
But it's not your go-to.
I feel you. I get the same sentiment about him as well. But he puts up the numbers.
He does.
Yeah,
He's had the luxury of working with some great players over the years. I mean, Julio, and before that, I think he was still there with like Roddy White and everybody.
He came in with Roddy and Julio.
Yeah,
well, he came in with Roddy, and then they drafted Julio the year after, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, he's had killer players around him. I think Tony Gonzalez was there towards the end of his career. So yeah, he's had a lot of great guys to work with, good coaching. So I can see why Matt Ryan's not on this list either. I mean, he doesn't really excite you as a guy you'd throw on this list. But
is he a better player last year than Kyler Murray and Josh Allen?
I mean, yes. I mean, are we talking just production, though? Or are you saying, like, okay, so we put, Matt Ryan on the Cardinals. What does he do with the Cardinals? What does Matt Ryan do with the Bills? I mean, do you think he's, leaps and bounds better than those players? I mean, I don't know. It's
at this
tough.
stage, I'm just taking it from this perspective, like from last year, because the top 100 players from 2019, 2020, right? That's what I'm taking off of.
Well, what I'm taking from this is it top players from last year, or is it top players going into this year?
I think it's top players from last year. It got to be top players from last year, right?
I mean, you would think it's saying like top players of 2020. So I guess that's one of the things to establish, like when the players are voting.
Yeah,
like, do they think Kyler Murray is going to be sick? It might not be necessarily off of his stats last year. Maybe some of these guys are thinking that these guys are going to take a leap this year. Like if Josh Allen improves from last year, that's a pretty good football player.
Right.
If Kyler Murray improves from last year, but again, that still says nothing about how the fuck is Carson Wentz not on this list, right? I mean, like, so I'm confused as by the scoring or the criteria.
It can't be going into 2020 because like there's no rookies on this list. It got to be from last year.
Well, is there any rookie that you think would immediately jump this list? I mean, you think there's somebody that's coming out that's that good?
I think if they was doing it like that, I would think that you would have to put like I think Joe Burrow would be a guy that they'll put on this list.
You think so? You think they'd immediately elevate Burrow?
I think Chase Young would be definitely a player that they would put on this list. Yeah, Chase Young is a fucking all-world defensive end coming out of college. I think he would have made this list if that was the criteria.
So here's my thing. Like if you're polling the players, that might be something that like scouts might do,
Yeah.
or something like newscasters might do, or sports writers might do. But I think when you're talking the